Hello, everybody out there in cyberspace. My name's Eric Blehm, and I'm sitting here with Chris Kyle, retired Chief, Navy SEAL. Did not retire.
I just quit.
Quit. Okay, just quit. There we go. And we are here at the Cavanaugh Flight Museum in Dallas, Texas, and we're just going to spend some time here with y'all and talk about stuff. I'll just jump right into our first question. We're getting questions live here, folks, and if you want to send something, please do. This is a question for Chris from a guy named Joshua, and he wants to know about that tough question of choosing family or SEALs. How do you make the choice? And if you do make that choice, how do you find the balance?
You can definitely find a balance. You just don't act like me. I messed up. I poured everything, my heart and soul, and everything that I had to give, I put into my job, and it hurt my family. Yeah, I was 3 months shy of 11 years, and I would retire. I was probably going to do 30. I mean, I loved the job, you know, the guys, the camaraderie. You just can't get it anywhere else. It's tough love, and you know those guys have your back. They are family. But it came down to where I had to choose them or my wife and kids. I couldn't have both anymore because I'd already messed that up. So I chose the family.
Joshua he followed up and he just said, has it been worth it?
100%. I went to my son's football practice, soccer games, baseball games. I mean, I can't full on do a head coach yet because I still travel, but assistant coaching and my daughter being there. And now I'm into ballet dancing and tap dancing. Not that you'll ever see me in a tutu.
Not a tutu, huh?
But just being there with them and getting to know them. I mean, they're my kids, and I have a good relationship with them. I know them, and they know me. And my wife and I, 95% divorce rate in the teams, and I made it out with my wife.
Yeah.
So and we're doing great now.
I just found out today that, did you know that he makes from his share of that book, he gives to the families of the guys that were killed in his book. The families were the Lee family and the Job families. And a lot of people don't know that. And I just feel like everybody should know that when you go and pick up a copy of American Sniper, it's written with some authors, but the share that Chris has received, he's given 100% of it away. I didn't know that, and I just got to shake your hand for that. That's a gigantic, big deal. And as an author, my hat goes off to you for that, because you're helping out those families in a way that shows first of all, this book wasn't about you. It's
right.
And
the book, definitely with my stories, and it had their stories in it, but I'm trying to highlight the people who were the true heroes. And I don't consider myself one of those guys. Well, what about you? How did you get in with the Unit 6 and be able to have them trust you to tell their story about Adam?
That's a great question. I was invited to Alaska where they were doing some training, and it was literally, hey, in a couple days we're going to be out in this certain town in the middle of nowhere, and if you could you be there? And I just said sure. So I got on a big plane to a smaller plane to a boat, and ended up getting out to where they were, and I got to meet a couple of the guys, and got to sit down and talk with them one-on-one, face-to-face. And then I went out to Virginia Beach and met a few of them as well, and spent a lot of hours talking with them. And ultimately they decided, he's good to go. And that was a great honor just to sit with those guys. And it ultimately became a pretty tragic thing, because a lot of the guys that I met were killed on August 6th in that Chinook crash. And
sure.
Yeah, this is people who know what that is. That's this shirt honors them, and they were all, some of the guys were, I don't know if they were, being prophetic or if they had a feeling something might go wrong on that next deployment, but a couple of the guys said, we're about to deploy, and I want to do Adam right. We're going to tell this story, and if we're going to tell it, we want to do it right, and that's why I'm talking to you now, because we're about to deploy. And I quote, one of them said, I could get killed on my next mission. 5 weeks later, it was August 6th in Wardak province, and not only him, but him and 17 or 16 of his buddies, 17 total from that command, were killed, and 7 of them who I'd gotten to know were killed. And so their voices are in the book, Fearless. Okay, Chris, in your book, which is one of the best nonfiction books I've ever read, by the way, you mention your faith in God quite often, and I admire you for it. Did you ever feel his presence with you when you were serving?
Definitely. I felt he was there several times, whether him or a guardian angel, but there were several times where I felt I should have died. And somehow or another, a mortar was a dud, and somehow I fell flat on my back, and the bullet went right past me, and an IED didn't go off. It went off right after we passed over it. So there definitely were times to where I felt I should have been seeing him face to face, but I never did, and I was extremely fortunate. But also my faith, I feel, is the biggest factor in my marriage being successful. And then continuing on to today, to where we were able to make it, and luckily she took her vows to heart, and she was not leaving.
I asked if there was any rituals they do before a mission. Some of the guys, one guy, Tom Ratzlaff, said he was a sniper, and he was killed August 6th, and he told me how he would, just a great guy, and he said that he would say the Lord's Prayer whenever he got before a mission where he knew he was going in somewhere hot. And he said that he would do this, but then he would ask for protection for his buddies and for his family. And he said, I never asked for myself. He said, that's up to the big guy upstairs to figure out and sort out. And I thought, once again, there's that humble warrior just, worrying about everybody else but himself. This is a good question. I would very much like to find a way to contribute directly to helping the SEAL community. What ways would you suggest to be the most needed to assist specifically with the SEAL warriors while downrange, as well as their families? Would things like care packages be appropriate, or what?
Yeah, we definitely appreciate care packages, but pretty much to be able to get an address to send it to, you're going to have to know someone who is either a part of it or related to them,
right,
and willing to give the address out on where to ship stuff to.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, we definitely like care packages. Troops first. I didn't know who he was at first, but if you're into golf, David Faraday, mm-hmm. the crazy Irishman. But he is a huge patriot, and he started a foundation that was called, Troops First, but they were doing this deal called Proper Exit. And they were taking troops back to the spots where they were hit and carted off and letting them walk off on their own terms. And one of the guys
That's a big deal.
One of the guys told me that when he got hit, there was a huge fight, and they had cut heads off of the local population, stuck them on stakes. And when he went back, he broke down crying, because the exact same window to where he could see the decapitated heads on spikes, there was a playground with children playing on it and laughing and busy markets. So he felt that everything he did wasn't in vain, and he got to walk off on his own terms. And some of the guys were able to fly them over there so they could return with their unit, because the guys feel bad. They feel like they're letting the guys down if they leave early. So they're allowing them to go back and walk off with their teammates.
Wow. So there you go. A lot of different ways that you can contribute, and you just need to Google it, right?
Even if you don't have the money,
you
can
volunteers.
You can donate time, any one of these organizations, and you don't even have to do an organization. If you know a vet, or if you can find a vet, it's just random acts of kindness.
Yeah.
Everyone says thank you. That does mean a lot, but it means so much more if it's not lip service and you're showing them. Mow their yard, do some errands for them, babysit so they can either just take a nap or go on a date, whatever they got to do. Bake them cookies.
Know your neighbor.
Right.
Figure it out.
Just take care of them.
Yeah.
Let them know that you love them.
Someone's asking both of us where we were and what we were doing when we heard about the 9/11 attacks.
Go ahead.
Well, I'll tell you what. On 9/11, I was 3 days before my wedding, and so it was a time when I was preparing, for that big leap in life, which was not a big deal. It was more all the logistics of all the family and friends, and it was just it was early morning. A friend of mine who was a minister who was going to be marrying us, in 2 days, was staying nearby, and I walked down and told him he actually was from New York City, and his name's Jackson Lynch. We call him the Love Doctor because he introduced us together. years earlier. And anyways, we just got hit with that thing. Here we're about to celebrate, and it was just a dark hole. I mean, we couldn't pull ourselves away from the television. We were watching just this horrible footage and just so numb and in pain, just like everybody else in our country and around the world. But then we just, there was no doubt. I mean, we just planned for a year, and so we ended up just saying, you know what? I think it was George Bush stood up and said, live your lives, keep living your life. We whooped it up, and we decided that we were going to do it, and it was not going to affect our lives, aside from that moment of silence.
Mine, I had already checked into Team 3, and I was on leave, which leave is vacation, military terms. But I was up in Long Beach with my girlfriend, who's my wife now, but we were sleeping in separate rooms because we weren't married, for her mom and dad, so they know. But because I wouldn't disrespect her parents like that. But I was sleeping in. She got up for some reason. She turned on the TV and was watching it. She actually got to see the first jet go in, or the replay of the first jet. So she turned it up super loud, blaring it, telling me to get up. And I'm sitting there thinking, oh gosh, no, I'm sleeping. And it's my day off. And then she just kept, and of course now I can't go back to sleep, and I'm listening to it. I'm like, somebody attacked us? What? So I went in and I sat down. I'm still kind of trying to get sleep out of my eye, and then I see the second plane come in. And I'm sitting there going, holy cow. And I was shocked. I mean, who would attack us? What are we doing? We weren't even at war with anyone. And I just sat there for the longest time watching all the TV, the reports and everything. And then I thought, oh crap, I've got this job now. So I turned my phone on, and there were messages telling me, get back to base now. So I packed a bag and took off because, Long Beach, it's about an hour and a half away. So I had to fly back to base as fast as I could. And
you were flying, right?
I was flying. I got pulled over, and the cop comes up, and I was trying to be super nice and say, look, I know I messed up. I was speeding, but respectfully, if you could hurry up and write the ticket, because I've got to get to base. I know I was wrong. Write me the ticket, but please do it fast. And then he goes, what branch you in? I'm thinking, oh, you jerk. I don't have time for these questions. And then so I said, I'm in the Navy. What do you do in the Navy? Really? I'm a SEAL, okay? I said, my bag's in the back. I just got recalled. He's like, all right, I'm going to give you an escort out of town. And he did inform me that we weren't going to be able to go as fast as I was, but he would get me out quickly.
He said something else too, didn't he? Didn't he say something about?
He told me to go get some payback.
That he did. Awesome. This to me, Eric, the Adam Brown story was so powerful. I've used it as inspiration for my guys. How did the process inspire you? And I'll just say that, again, Adam Brown is his story. It's tragic at the end. He's killed, but he's such an inspiration in that he dug himself out of such a deep hole, multiple deep holes, and just kept going. And he didn't quit in spite of the injuries, the things that would have stopped a lot of others from operating. He just kept going. And I think that to overcome all that and then to turn around and tell people, I want you to know who I was at this point in my life, when I was a dirtbag again and a criminal. He did that just to inspire others so they would know that they could dig their way out of a deep hole themselves if they're ever in a dark hole. And, when you have a message like that, and you're reading stuff you're learning things. I was learning things that I thought just could not be true. This guy could not have, crushed his hand and learned to shoot pistol left-handed and still clear a room with perfection. There's no way that he could have beat crack and at the level that he was at and turn around and become this a role model father. And so I just thought, when it reads like, when you're researching it and everything around it is like something that you couldn't even imagine a Hollywood movie writer to conjure up, but it's real and all these people are confirming it. It's easy. It's easy to be inspired by that.
I mean, he's a a true hero by every definition of the word, warrior. And it just shows you that no matter how bad you think your life is, there's somebody out there who has it worse, and they're overcoming it.
Yeah, exactly. We're kind of wrapping up on our time, and so I will say that we, for me, it's an honor to meet you today and sit down and talk with you and learn some of the things I didn't know about American Sniper. It's a great book, and just the fact that you have done so much to give back, and that's something that's important. It's been a pleasure to hang out with you, and we'll have that beer sometime when your kids aren't in practice, and neither are mine.
Well, I do appreciate you writing the book and putting a good light on it, and it's an awesome story that needed to be told, and you did it extremely well, and he is an extremely honorable man that deserves to have his story out there, and people need to know what all he went through to achieve what he did, and that it can be done, and it should be an inspirational story to other people. And awesome. You did a hell of a job with it.
Thank you, sir.